Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and good days to Dr. Azlina and my friends. Today, my group Poseidon will present integrated reporting. My group will cover this topic with 10 tables of contents.
Before we start our presentation, have you guys heard about the integrated reporting? I bet you guys did hear about it before but aren't familiar with it. So today, our group will explain on what is integrated reporting. Integrated reporting is a concise communication about how an organization's strategy, governance, performance and prospects in the context of its external environment lead to the creation of value over the short, medium and long term. The meaning of concise communication here is organizations only provide the necessary information and convey the idea clearly into the graphics and tables so that it will attract the users and the users will find the information required easier. Meanwhile, the creation of value is about how the company will use all the capital to create the value. I am sure you guys have a question mark on your mind. No worries, let me guide you through the examples. Here we have two tables of contents from the report of the company. The left one is from Gamuda Annual Report and the right one is from Axiata Integrated Annual Report. Can you spot the difference between these two reports? You can pause the video to look at it. So, did you guys answer it correctly? As you can see, the main difference between Gamuda Annual Report and the Axiata Integrated Annual Report is it will include how we create value in the integrated report. Next, usually in the initial page of integrated report, there needs to be an explanation about this report and the reporting philosophy as highlighted in the box. One more is reporting suite. There will be stated what reporting framework that they use in the report, disclosures of the management discussion and analysis, governance and compliance documents, and etc. But the most important one is integrated report will always come with governance and audited financial statements, which is highlighted in the red box. There are three questions here. The first one is why prepare integrated report? It is because the current corporate report's inability to properly communicate with an organization's investors and regulators. The second question is it mandatory to prepare the integrated report? The answer is it is a choice to prepare the integrated report or to prepare the annual report in a more conventional format. Next, we prepare it voluntarily. Since it is in a voluntary form, we decide on the content. The last question is, are there any guidance to prepare integrated report? The answer is yes. There are guidance for integrated report framework by IIRC that I will explain it further in the next slide. The International Integrated Reporting Council (IIRC) was founded by the Prince of Wales Accounting for Sustainability Project, Global Reporting Initiative, and International Federation of Accountants in August 2, 2010. IIRC was formed to share the view that communication about value creation, preservation, or erosion is the next step in the evolution of corporate reporting. This organization is a global coalition of regulators, investors, companies, standard setters, the accounting professions, academia, and NGOs. With the coalition, IR framework was released and being used to accelerate the adoption of integrated reporting across the world. One of the aims of the IR framework is to improve the quality of information available to providers of financial capital to enable a more efficient and productive allocation of capital. IIRC is one of organizations under Sustainability Accounting Standard Board (SASB), when IIRC has teamed up with SASB to form Value Reporting Foundation in June 9, 2021 to provide robust toolset for planning and reporting.
Next, I would like to introduce you guys with Sustainability Accounting Standard Board (SASB) and Value Reporting Foundation (VRF). Sustainability Accounting Standard Board (SASB) was founded in July 2011 by Jean Rogers, who originated the concept and served as organization's first CEO. SASB was founded to develop sustainability accounting standards, which is SASB standard. Its primary aim was to develop standards for use in corporate filing to the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission. The intention of SASB standard was to provide investors with comparable, non-financial information about the companies whose stocks they or their investment fund owned, and to allow investors and financial analysts to compare performance on critical environmental, social, and governance issues within an industry. Investors, lenders, insurance underwriters, and other providers of financial capital are increasingly attuned to the impact of environmental, social, governance factors on the financial performance of companies, driving the need of standardized reporting of ESG data. Now that you have learned a bit about SASB, I will continue my presentation by introducing Value Reporting Foundation. In 9th June 2021, IRRC and SASB officially announced that they are merging together, forming Value Reporting Foundation (VRF). VRF support business and investor decision-making with three key resources, which are Integrated Thinking Principles, Integrated Reporting Framework, and SASB Standards. These tools help businesses and investors develop a shared understanding of enterprise value and how it is created, preserved, or eroded over time. VRF offers a comprehensive suite of resources designed to help businesses and investors develop a shared understanding of enterprise value on how it is created, preserved, or eroded over time. VRF is committed to enabling organizations to move from buy-in to action. By more closely aligning the Integrated Reporting Framework and the SASB standards, VRF will make it easier for businesses to communicate their long-term strategy and provide a more comprehensive view of business performance to investors and other providers of capital. VRF is also committed to delivery of a more coherent corporate reporting system by working closely with the IFRS Foundation and other leading framework providers and standard setters around the world. With the efforts made by IIRC and SASB to form VRF and work with the IFRS Foundation, we might be able to see the IR framework under the IFRS Foundation in the future. There are three objectives of the IR framework. The first one is to establish guiding principles and content elements that govern the overall content of an integrated report and to explain the fundamental concepts that underpin them. Next, the IR framework is written primarily for private sector, for-profit companies of any size, but it can also be used by public sector and non-profit organizations. The last one is the IR framework identifies information to be included in an integrated report for use in assessing an organization's ability to create value. The primary purpose of an integrated report is to explain to providers of financial capital how an organization creates value over time. It therefore contains relevant information, both financial and other. An integrated report benefits all stakeholders interested in an organization's ability to create value over time, including employees, customers, suppliers, business partners, local communities, legislators, regulators, and policymakers. We are now going to discuss about IR framework in more detail. In the IR framework, we will discuss about 4 things that have been highlighted by IIRC, which are the fundamental concept, guiding principle, content element, and the capitals. First, we will focus on the fundamental concept. There are 3 fundamental concepts underpinning integrated report, which are value creation for the organization and other, the capital and value creation process. Firstly, value creation for the organization and other is the ability of an organization to create value for itself is linked to the value it creates for others. This happens through a wide range of activities, interactions, and relationships such as sales to customers that are directly associated with change in financial. Secondly, the capital is a resources and the relationship used and affected by the organization. There are 6 types of capital that being identified by IIRC in IR framework. However, capital is not required to be adopted in preparing an entity's integrated report. Lastly, value creation process is a linkage between the capital, the business's model, and to communicate how an organization ability to create value over the short to medium and the long terms. This process also will be influenced by company economic environment, external environment, and governance. We will discuss more about guiding principle, content element, and the capitals in the next slide.
Hello everyone, I'm Azri and I will explain to you about guiding principle for this topic. So there is 7 guiding principle, which is strategic focus and future orientation, connectivity of information, stakeholder relationship, materiality, conciseness, reliability and completeness, and consistency and comparability. So for strategic focus and future orientation, this guide for organization strategy and how it relates to the organization's ability to create value in the short, medium and long-term decision. So for connectivity of information, interrelatedness and dependencies between the factors that affect the organization's ability to create value over time. So the information being used in this report is connect to each one another. Next is stakeholder relationship. Nature and quality of the organization's relationship with its key stakeholder, including how and to what extent the organization understands, take into account and respond to their legitimate needs and interests. For materiality, disclosing information about matters that substantively affect the organization's ability to create value over the short, medium and long term. Such information that matters may have direct implication for the organization itself or may affect the capital's owned by or available to others. So fifth guiding principle is conciseness. An integrated report includes sufficient context to understand the organization's strategy, governance, performance and prospects without being burdened with less relevant information. For reliability and completeness, reliability is enhanced by mechanisms such as robust internal control and reporting system, stakeholder engagement, internal audit or similar functions, and independent external assurance. Last but not least, ensuring consistency over time and enabling comparisons with the others organization to extend material to organization's own ability to create value. Reporting policies are followed consistently from one period to the next unless a change is needed to improve the quality of information reported. The specific information in an integrated report will necessarily vary from one organization to another because each organization creates value in its own unique way.
We have 8 contents elements. First, organizational overview and external environment. Second, governance. Third, business model. Next, risks and opportunities. Next, strategy and resource allocations. Next, performance. Next, outlook. And lastly, basis of preparations and presentation. Before go to the details about 8 content elements, I will show you whose company that have won a special awards from NACRA for the Best Sustainability Report Company 2021. FNN got a platinum, Nestle got a gold, and Sunweber had silver. All the example for explanations that we gave at the 8 contents elements are from the company that had acknowledged as a best company for the previous years, which is TM Axiata. First contents elements is organizational overview and external environment. What does the organization do and what are the circumstances under which it operates? An integrated report ordinarily identifies the company visions and missions, summary of who they are and what they do, the company culture, ethics and value. Example that we take from Telecom Malaysia. First, I will show you visions and missions of company. Next is core value for Telecom Malaysia and the overview about the company. For this slide, I will show you the summary about who they are and what they do for Telecom Malaysia. Next is governance. How does the organization's governance structure support its ability to create value in the short, medium, and long term? An integrated report ordinarily identifies the organization's leadership structure, including the skills and diversity. Next, the board role and responsibility to ensure value creation for the company in the future. For these examples, we also take Telecom Malaysia. This is a full slide for governance example. The board composition is a statistic that shows the board members in the organizations. Well, for the chairman, senior independent director, and director, that's all the point shows that the company has a structure and role for each director. Let's move forward to business model. What is the organization's business model? An integrated report ordinarily identifies key inputs, key outputs, and key outcomes. This is business model in general, so it starts with input, which consists of the 6 capitals that was explained. And then moving forward to business activity. After business activity, there is output and lastly outcomes. The next example I take is Axiata. More than one capital is needed, as for example the 6 outcome for Axiata, which is minimizing environmental impact. It can be achieved by using 4 capitals, which are financial, intellectual, manufactured, and natural capital. Next, risks and opportunities. What are the specific risks and opportunities that affect the organization's ability to create value over the short, medium, and long term, and how is the organization dealing with them? An integrated report ordinarily identifies the specific source of risks and opportunities. So, for this slide, I will show you what are the list of the key risks and what are the key indicators from the example. This slide will show you about the company take the opportunities and actions in the table.
Content element number 5, strategy and resource allocation. An integrated report should answer the question, where does the organization want to go and how does it intend to get there? An integrated report ordinarily identifies the organization's short, medium, and long-term strategy objectives, the strategies it has in place or intends to implement to achieve those strategic objectives. How will it measure achievements and target outcomes for the short, medium, and long term? Using the TM integrated report as an example, their strategic objectives is to accelerate revenue and earning before interest and tax uplift and deliver sustainable financial returns to our shareholders. Next, reaping opportunities to create new value from digital and mobile convergence is how they intend to achieve the strategic objectives. And in the highlighted box is their achievements and target outcomes. Moving on to content element number 6, performance. An integrated report should answer the question, to what extent has the organization achieved its strategic objectives for the period, and what are its outcomes in terms of effects on the capitals? An integrated report ordinarily identifies quantitative indicators with respect to targets, risks, and opportunities, the organization's effects on the capitals, the linkages between past and current performance, and between current performance and the organization's outlook. Using the Axiata integrated report as an example, Axiata using KPI to measure their performance. The revenue growth and earning before interest, taxes, depreciation, and amortization growth is the example of KPI they use. Financial year 2021 achievement for actual currency and constant rate is their performance. Content element number 7, outlook. An integrated report should answer the question, what challenges and uncertainties is the organization likely to encounter in pursuing its strategy, and what are the potential implications for its business model and future performance? An integrated report ordinarily identifies the organization's expectations about the external environment organization is likely to face in the short, medium, and long term. How that will affect the organization, how the organization is currently equipped to respond to the critical challenges and uncertainties that are likely to arise. Using the Axiata integrated report as an example, Axiata expect limited growth in mobile market with declining data yield. This is the external environment the organization is likely to face and how it will affect the organization. Axiata responds to the critical challenges by continued focus on M&A and key partnerships between service providers and a wider ecosystem of technology companies. The last content element is basis of preparation. An integrated report should answer the question, how does the organization determine what matters to include in the integrated report and how are such matters quantified or evaluated? An integrated report ordinarily identifies a description of the reporting boundary and how it has been determined, a summary of the organization's materiality determination process, a summary of the significant frameworks and methods used to quantify or evaluate material matters. Using the Axiata Integrated Report as an example, the first highlighted box is a description of the reporting boundary used by Axiata. The second highlighted box is about how Axiata determined their materiality, which was conducted in line with Bursa Malaysia. While the third highlighted box is a reporting framework that been used by Axiata to prepare integrated report.
Now, we will move to the last part of IR framework, which is the capital. All organizations depend on various forms of capital for their success. These capital are the store of value that become the input to the company business model. As we can see here, there are 6 types of capital that IRRC already identified in their IR framework. Firstly, financial capital. Financial capital is the pool of funds that are available for the organization for use. This capital is obtained through financing, such as debt, equity, or grant, or financing that are generated through operation of investment. Secondly, manufactured capital. This capital is the manufactured physical objects that are available to the organization for use. They include building, infrastructure of equipment of company. Thirdly, intellectual capital. Intellectual capital is organization knowledge-based intangible that include intellectual property such as patent, copyright, software, right, or licenses, and also organizational capital such as basic knowledge, system, procedure, or protocol. Fourthly, human capital. Human capital is the people competency, capability, and experience, and their motivation to innovate. This include their ability to understand, develop, and implement a organization strategy. Fifthly, social and relationship capital. That include the institution and the relationship within and between community, the group of stakeholders, and other networks. And also the ability to share information to enhance individual and collective well-being. And lastly is the natural capital. All renewable and non-renewable environmental resources and processes that provide goods and services that support the past, current, and future activity of the organization. It includes air, water, land, mineral, and forest biodiversity. Is the example of the capital for integrated report of Telekom Malaysia Berhad or TM that we will discuss in detail. As we can see here, TM showing input, outcome, and their activity to show that there are constant flow between and within this capital, because the capital are the store of value that decrease, increase, and transform through the activity and output of the capital. For example, this is the financial capital of TM. And TM use a input of financial capital they have to investing in employee training and to expanding network infrastructure, and also there are aspects they can pay relevant stakeholders through dividend, financing other type of capital, and proper digital Malaysia aspiration. For manufactured capital of TM, they are continue to expand the network and infrastructure as their activity, as they want to improve their coverage and ensure all Malaysia can get connect. They also have manufactured physical assets such as retail outlet and
also office building. Next, the example of women capital. TM expect to invest in their employee so they can drive TM strategic purpose forward. TM invests in occupational safety and well-being programs to help employees manage the COVID-19 pandemic, and also TM implementing an employee training program to create a future-proof workforce. Via social and relationship capital, TM help community and stakeholder engagement program. It is to create a trust among stakeholders, and TM also expect a strong and meaningful relationship to allow them to meet a new agenda. As in intellectual capital of TM, TM showing their investment in R&D, which is to embrace a new technology and also digital solution. It also to strengthen their proposition of value and competitive edge. Last capital is natural capital. TM to continuously reduce the impact of their activity on the environment like water and energy. Through a continue to invest in green technology and low carbon solution.
Okay, for issue that we chose for integrated reporting is challenge in adopting and implementing IR in public listed companies in Malaysia. So there is 5 challenges that has relationship in adopting and implementing the integrated reporting, which is the first one is perception of management, cost benefits, availability of information, readiness of information, and the last one is ability of report preparers. Okay, for the perception of management, most of the companies agree that their current reporting is meeting the stakeholders' requirement and creating true and fair value towards the organization. So by that, they think why they need to integrate report that already is sufficient stakeholders need. So it will increase the workloads if they start to adopt integrated reporting. Next is cost benefit. Most of the respondents strongly agree that the financial resource is the limitation in adopting and implementing. They believe organizations need to invest lots of capital into implementing IR. So most of the respondents are also agree that the human resource is the limitation of the adoption and implementation of. So there will be cost to train or hire expert to generate those integrated reporting. For availability of information. So the study, respondents believe that they will still face the challenge on selecting material information to integrate into report. So it could be a challenge for the organization to analyze the information and make the information to be easy for stakeholders understanding. For readiness of information, some companies are only keeping their information with hard copy and Excel or database only. So for this, it will be a challenge for those companies to adopt and implement as they need to install a better information system to keep the information for analyzing. Lastly, ability of report preparers. So most of the respondents believe that aware of latest information about corporate reporting, but if they be provide training for that, so by that, if the ability of report preparer are bad, so that organization might get trouble or difficult to adopt integrated reporting.